Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Small Print Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Elise, and I blog at roulettereader.wordpress.com.
And I'm Dawn, and I blog at bangbangbookblog.com.
And today we are discussing the final book in the Raven cycle, The Raven King. We might be a little late on this, but somebody, myself, takes forever to read books. So I don't know. Yeah, we'll discuss it, why this book took so long to read. So let's get started.
All right, so we will start with dislikes.
Oh boy.
And I only have two. So I guess I'll go with my biggest dislike is, oh man. See, the spoilers.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, I'll be very vague.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so there was a romance that I had an issue with. I didn't really like it. We will do a spoiler edition and we'll go into it for those of you who either don't care or have already read it and you want to go in depth. But I'll just stop at that.
Yeah. I definitely agree with you on that. Overall, I found the entire book disappointing. A little bit of context. This is my favorite YA series. I love the Raven Boys. It's one of my favorite books of all time. So I will admit that I had very high hopes for this book. Again, how do I discuss this without really giving up spoilers?
We'll just be really vague.
Well, okay. I didn't feel like there was any significant action in this book. Everything kind of just moves along, happens, or doesn't happen. And
I feel like most of her books are like that. Her books have a flow.
They do have a flow.
A lot, and then there's like this lull of nothingness, and then the last 20 pages, all the good stuff happens.
know, but there was something about the pacing in this novel that just continually pissed me off, and that's why it took me so long to read, because I was getting bored, and that never happens with these books. Her books are dense. There's a lot in them. There's character development happening along with very figurative language, and I absolutely love that. It's like a treasure chest. Like, you have to search through and pick out the gold bits. But between having so many characters in this book and having to figure out what's the purpose of this character, I just found it horribly paced. And even the exciting action at the end, I'm using air quotes here, like a page. It's a page.
Yeah, I will say that. Oh, it's not a page. It's when it's towards the last quarter.
It's a quarter
of the book where I know what you're talking about. But you talk about when they find Glendower. Okay, but clearly they know they're going to find Glendower. It's the whole point of the book.
Spoiler?
No, it's not.
Yeah, okay.
They do eventually find him. That's the whole point.
Okay.
So the part up to that I feel like that whole section was the climax, but before that it was just like, oh my god. And I was skipping. I was like, we need to pick
this was
this
a
up.
skim read for me, and I could not believe that. Like, nothing in this book made me want to pay attention to it half as much as I did the other 2.5, because Blue Lily Blue was kind of difficult for me to read as well. That book was like 100% filler. Let's see what else. I'll let you make more comments.
The only other bad thing I had was I did not know the point of Henry. Mm-hmm. I felt Henry was just there to add diversity. Mm-hmm. Other than that, I didn't care for him.
I completely agree. I didn't understand his place in the novel. I appreciated the particular scene in the hole at Aglionby. I don't want to say what happens because that is a spoiler. But Gansey goes through some character development with Henry, but I feel like if you have given a second of thought to this series, you kind of knew that about Gansey already, that he has some things that he's got to let go in his own past in order to find the thing he's looking for in his future. Duh. Literally every character has told him that 5 times. So suddenly Henry shows up on the scene with this thing, and now it all makes sense for Gansey. Like, that was not necessary. Not necessary at all.
Well, I feel like they have told him this, but at the same time, they're also in it to find Glendower with him. So no one is really like, man, I can't do this anymore. You know, I can't start looking for this man again. It's hopeless. They're all like with him the whole time.
Well, neither did Henry. Henry never discouraged him from finding Glendower. So what was the point?
But I still feel like Glendower was the end for him. I need to find this man. That was what drove him the entire book. And no one really said, maybe not.
Right. And I get that you're saying that what Henry was trying to show Gansey was like, think past Glendower. But hello, then what's the point of Blue? She's his love.
But I think
that
her
gives
point,
him enough context to look past Glendower.
But coming from Blue's standpoint, she wants him to find Glendower so that he can get that wish so that he doesn't die. So that's her motivation to find him too.
Yeah, and I'll give you that, but I don't know. It just didn't land for me.
Okay.
It didn't land. And then I know we were talking about the waiting for Henry to reveal some kind of like nasty ulterior motive. I thought he was going to end up like Kavinsky.
Yeah.
I thought something really bad was going to happen. So every time he's on the page, I'm like, what is he doing? Why is this happening? So I was constantly questioning him, and I think that was why I didn't like his place in the book. That last thing I can't say because that's a spoiler. Is this a spoiler? The demon?
Yeah.
Okay. We won't talk about that then. I really have nothing else to say in this spoiler-free version. There was a lot of side plots that were happening in this book that kind of detracted from the main plot for me, and they really didn't add up to anything. So I was very frustrated by this book.
Okay.
Which is so disappointing because I wanted to love it, and I'm not going to give it a horribly dismal rating because it's almost like with this book you have to keep in mind the other 3 books.
Yeah.
And so for that regard, I'm not going to give it any less than a 3.75. But if this was a standalone novel, I would probably have given it like a 2.75.
Wow.
I know, I'm sorry. I'm very, very sad.
No, I and that is the reason why I gave it a 4.5. And the only reason why I did that was because of the previous 3 books.
Right.
If it had not have been for the wondrousness of those 3 books, I would have been like, ooh.
Right.
Because I had way too many issues with.
I did too.
I just feel like she has so much more potential than what is presented in this book.
Steve Otter is clearly a very capable and excellent writer, which is why I was unable to forgive so many of these plot holes and dropped character developments that happen in this book. And we'll get to that in the spoiler edition, but the final resolution was really a letdown for me.
Now, see, I had the exact opposite reasoning for what you have. So I'm thinking that I'm missing something. And so because she's so cryptic and so metaphorical, I'm thinking I'm missing something. And that's the reason why it feels like a drop storyline or unimportant characters.
No, that whole reveal or whatever at the end was, I saw it coming. I always knew it would happen exactly like that.
I didn't see
that. And for
coming.
me, I just didn't like it. I was very
I will admit I didn't see that one coming.
Like, I expect more from her. She is such a masterful author. She is a great storyteller. And then that's what she gives us? Hell no.
Okay.
So
what did we like?
Okay. I liked that we get a little bit more information about Ronan's dreaming abilities.
Mm-hmm.
That was interesting to me. I did not see that particular bit coming, and I'm not going to say what it is because that's a spoiler. I was satisfied with Blue and Gansey's particular storylines. That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
So that was good. Again, the writing itself is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
She writes very, very well, and it's a joy to read, but it was just what she was saying that I didn't like. Yeah. I love that one scene. Actually, I can't say that. It's a spoiler. Never mind.
Well, I think the driving force of this entire book is her character development. I feel like Ronan in particular, I think, is the most developed character in the series.
Yeah, he is.
And Gansey is a close second. I feel like I want to be friends with these people, even though they're so damaged. I kind of want to know these people, especially Gansey. Mm-hmm. But I think her characters are just amazing. Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons. Not to say anything that's wrong about her writing or anything, but I love her characters.
No, I absolutely agree with you. And you're right. Ronan is the most developed character. But I don't know where I was going to go with that. Sorry. Never mind. Back switch on that one. Trying to think of another positive that I liked.
I like the she has several themes going on. I think ultimately the theme is just like friendship, and they have a wonderful friendship. I think, as I said in my blog post, I think everyone would be lucky to have friends like Gansey, even Ronan.
I think that the core group that's in this story, they're not just friends, they're like family to each other. I mean, they each come from a very untraditional family life. And so they've kind of had the ability to say, you are my family. And I really like that. And that really translates to the page. They're so close. They would do anything for each other, as we see in this novel.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they make the sacrifices when needed. And yeah. But and I think that's good, because they each have this very significant issue with their family that kind of drives their entire character development. And so there is resolution in that they are each other's family. I do appreciate that. Shall we move to the spoiler edition?
I'm not done.
No? Okay.
I also liked last one is that I've been reading a lot of books, and I know we've said this word to death, but tropes, and I do appreciate that Steve Otter has managed to put characters who are experiencing abuse and mortality, sexual identity, depression, retribution, unrequited love, greed, all those things that we see in other books, but it's totally against trope. So there's no insta love. I don't think. Well, they barely touch Blue and Gansey. I see you smiling, but don't say anything.
I'm not gonna say.
Spoiler part, we'll save that with that exception. You also mentioned that there was not a lot of action, but I kind of appreciate that it doesn't have a lot of action. I'm going to mention Torch Against the Night that I also finished. And I felt like the first 100 pages of that book was just action, and no story.
Mm-hmm.
And by 100 pages, I was done with that book. I'm like, this is, so I don't care for action if there's no plot. And I feel like hers exact opposite of there's a lot of plot, and it doesn't really need a lot of action to break up any kind of serious subjects. And I also want to mention the jealousy factor. So I like how she handled that whole situation. I won't say that because it's a spoiler, but there could have been many instances of jealousy, and it wasn't the main focus. That's something that a lot of people, not just teens, experience, and she didn't go that route, and I really appreciated it. So, and that's all I'll say about what I liked about it.
All right. So, if you have not read the book and would like to keep your ears and eyes clean of spoilers.
Before we do that, if you are going to stop listening because you have not read the book yet, we'll mention that next week on June 15th, we're going to start our reread of Heart of Betrayal by Mary E. Pearson to get ready for Beauty of Darkness, which launches August 2nd. We have already reread Kiss of Deception, and I'll post those links, or you can just look down at SoundCloud and see those links. And so we're going to get excited about the last
I'm very
book.
excited for that.
It is my favorite. And oh God, I hope I don't have the reaction that Elise is having.
I really hope so, because this was my
it's
series.
Making me scared now.
I know.
Oh.
This was my series that I was looking
scared.
forward to. And yeah, it's life. Sometimes it happens. Things don't work out the way you expect. But we will cross that bridge together to see how that lasts.
So if you want to read along with us, we will be reading chapters 1 through 11, and we will be podcasting that on June 15th.
All right.
So we are now going to start the spoiler edition of The Raven King in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Bam. All right. My biggest thing, well, there's a lot of biggest things actually. As I was typing up my notes for this podcast, it just kept coming and coming. I'm just gonna say, for some reason I never saw the demon as a threat to the main cast. He never crosses paths with them in like the majority of the novel. I also never believed that Gansey would die permanently. I knew that would happen.
Let's go back to the demon.
Wait. No, go ahead.
The demon is essential to the plot, though, because the demon is sucking the life out of Kate's water. That's the entire series.
Yes, but
Kate's water.
The demon physically itself is not doing anything to the four of them.
He's killing them.
The forest.
And because Ronan created the forest, he therefore is killing Ronan.
I know it like almost unmakes Ronan, but I don't know.
It's a bee.
It was never like I'm like, oh,
it's a bee,
and it just like hovers and buzzes. I don't know. I didn't like it. I did
But
not.
that is Gansey's antithesis.
Came out of the hole,
is a
I was like,
bee.
seriously. I know it's too obvious.
Come what did you want? Well, I mean,
Something
I get that she's made all these, like the robo bee.
Oh my God.
And when they die from the bee, they hear the buzzing.
Right.
I get that is a little bit on the nose.
And she doesn't do that. She is not an on the nose author. It was so lame.
But I think in the spirit of Gansey needing to get over it and coming to terms with his fear, I think
oh my God,
it landed.
It was so literal. It was so literal. I did not like it.
I think maybe one would have been fine. I think the robo bee and the demon were a little much.
Yes.
Maybe
I
one and not both would have been
but
okay.
Like we're constantly being hit upside the head with buzzing, like being like, okay, like bees and flies and everything, they have like multiple vision. Lemonnier, I mean, come on, it's everything is this physical.
See, I didn't even catch that one.
Well, it was just so obvious. I don't know. I wanted something better, and ultimately it didn't feel like there were any stakes for these people. You know, a lot happens, but I can't even articulate it other than it just fell flat. I knew that Gansey would find Glendower, as clearly did everyone, and that, you know, I wrote that his kiss would result in exactly what was predicted in the beginning, but that Steve Otter was setting up some kind of contingency plan.
Well, yeah, I figured that. I don't think she was going to kill the main character.
I did.
And the fact that this is a fantasy.
I almost wanted that to happen. Is that crazy?
That is crazy, because that is exactly what I did not want to happen. It's just like Jon Snow.
I know.
You don't want Jon Snow to die. It's a fantasy, and therefore she can do whatever she wants with him.
Right. No, totally.
She could have made him a god. I mean,
liberty.
She could have done everything she wanted.
We're not arguing that she does or doesn't have the power to do that. I'm just saying I didn't appreciate it.
I did, because I mean, this entire series were like, she kisses him and he dies, and it happened, and I was weeping. I was like, oh God, no. But and then I figured he would come back to life. Thank God. I would have been very upset if he hadn't have.
Yeah. Let's see if I can segue off of that into something else. Gosh. Let's keep talking about the demon. What actually happened to the demon? Theories?
I think it died because Cave's water died. So
yeah, she kind of leaves that a little bit open-ended. She doesn't exactly say the demon is dead or the demon went back to sleep. Like I said, I felt like the demon itself had this build-up of she tried to build it up as being like terrifying. It's unmaking everything. This bee is going to destroy the world, and then nothing.
Well, wasn't it said in Blue Lily that there's a king that or something not supposed to wake?
Right. That's the thing.
They woke it.
Right. I understand that. You know, I get that, yes, Gansey died to kill it, but I don't know. I would have liked to have experienced the bees unmaking a little bit more. It was a little bit anticlimactic for me. But maybe it's because I already hated the demon itself. Like, it's
You're supposed to hate the demon.
You know what I mean.
You didn't see the point of it.
I did see the
on
point
the
of
nose.
it.
Okay.
Right. Do you have any other comments about the demon?
No.
Okay. I'm gonna go back up. Let's talk about Blue.
Okay.
Blue bothered the hell out of me in this book.
She was barely in it.
Not the character itself, but the fact that she was barely in it.
Okay. Well, I think it's because her book was that was her book.
But her story wasn't done. Especially because at the end of the last book, we now meet her father. She meets her father, which at the beginning of the Raven Boys is a big thing. It's a big chip on her shoulder. I really hated the way that Steve Otter did not develop that storyline whatsoever. He hides in a freaking cupboard and then in a tree the whole book. Like, feel free to jump in at any point.
No, I agree. I was waiting for something magnificent to happen with this character, and he's just a tree light. I don't know what that means. He was a what to Glendower?
He was his like advisor.
Okay.
And he is the one that put the idea in Glendower's head for him to be brought to this area, to be put on the ley line so that he could survive and live. Mm-hmm. And clearly that didn't work.
And Mara didn't know any of this. She just met this guy out on the street somewhere.
Yep.
Whole time to look for Glendower.
Wanted to bang.
He's a damn advisor.
Yep. I found that unbelievable.
Did you say wanted to bang?
Yes. Clearly, because Blue is here. Yeah, and that also did not add up for me. I mean, she has obviously psychic powers, but she is herself very intuitive, and I felt like at some point she would have figured out that. I mean, they imply that he was a different person when she met him, because Blue keeps asking when he's hiding in the cupboard, like, what is his deal? And Mora's like, hands up, she don't know. This isn't the guy she met. he's been like depleted and all that kind of stuff. Which, did they explain how he got back down in the cave? Because they found him in the cave last book. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Maybe he wasn't even really there. Wasn't he dead in the tomb with him? Or they found bones and they were like, "Oh, this must be."
I don't
remember.
Yeah, I
just
missed
read
that.
it like last week. And
I know.
forgot.
I missed that. How he either got out or whatever. So yeah, back to Blue. It is suddenly revealed that Blue, in fact, does have her own set of metaphysical powers. She's not a psychic, but she is a tree light. So she has this connection with trees that I didn't really understand. I didn't feel like that was explained.
You know what? I felt like I don't know, because I put this in my blog. I felt like this was like a commentary on deforestation. It just seemed like a lot of cutting down of trees and save the trees.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is she trying to tell us something, or what? I don't understand why with all the trees, and the oldest tree is going to save Cave's water, and the tree is bleeding and oozing oil.
And that's what I thought that Artemis was going to serve the purpose of, being that oldest tree.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Because he was around before Cave's water was around.
Mm-hmm.
Because Ronan dreamt Cave's water. That's one of the big reveals of this novel. I did not see that coming at all.
No.
I did not see that at all.
And she was just like, "Oh yeah, I dreamt Cave's water."
What? I know. I'm like, righty then. I'm trying to look up something. Ronan mentions tree lights when he is attempting to save Cave's water or save Gansey in the end. I can't find it.
I don't even remember.
Either way. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so we were talking about tropes earlier, and one of the tropes that I did not appreciate, that I didn't really pick up on until this book, is that of Blue being the girl who just doesn't get other girls and refuses to. Even though Blue has her own girliness, like her own specific girliness. She's into fashion, like this really odd sense of fashion. And I know, like I've got here, it totally wouldn't have fit in with the Raven Boys theme, but I really just like the series promotes the idea that there's a girl who thinks that she's above all the other girls just because she doesn't get them. I found that bothersome to me. I don't know, I'm not necessarily saying that Maggie needed to include other girls in the plot, but she makes it openly obvious that Blue does not give a shit about being friends with anyone other than these guys. That bugged me. I can't go into it any more than that.
Do you think it may be a little bit autobiographical?
Probably.
Because she comes across she does say, "I just hated the world and we're all black."
Oh, absolutely.
So
for sure.
Maybe she's a little bit of Blue. Who knows?
Yeah.
I didn't pick up on that, but I can see why.
I guess I picked up on it because I already felt disconnected from her in this book, whereas I didn't in the other three. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's talk about Adam and Ronan.
Yeah, I'm not feeling that at all. It came out of nowhere. I felt like there was no clues that Adam was into guys.
There wasn't.
Just all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And I'm like, couple of books before, something, but I mean, he never said he'll get away from me either. Mm-hmm. But at the same time,
suddenly they're madly in love and like planning their lives together. It was just too much.
Yeah.
Too much, too little, too late, I think. 3 books where he's literally obsessed with Blue. Like, he knows that she is with Gansey. He's known the whole time because that comes out in this book. They confront each other about it and they admit to the fact that they like each other. And then literally chapters later, Ronan is kissing Adam and they're now a thing.
I could see like if the first kiss and he was just like, "Oh, whoops, that happened." And then the second time he's like, "I'm not ready for that." But no, we're full on making out. And
right.
I'm like,
And again, she makes no attempt to explain maybe he's bisexual at all throughout the first 3 books. And yeah, I wasn't. It's not that I wanted Ronan to be happy. So I was happy that Ronan got his happiness, because at first I thought this is just going to make Ronan hurt even more.
Yeah.
But then I was like, okay, apparently Adam's into that. That's fine. But it doesn't make sense to the plot for me whatsoever.
Yeah,
I don't know if I want to make my other comment about that, but
I mean, you can. It's a valid comment.
I don't know. No, I'm not going to.
Okay.
See if I have any more notes about Adam and Ronan. No, I don't. Okay, Glendower. For me, Gansey just having to ask Cabeswater where Glendower was such a disappointing cheat.
I know.
Okay, how many freaking times were they in the forest talking about finding Glendower? At some point, you think this intuitive, magical forest would have been able to sense that and show him. That was so...
But I guess he didn't say the words.
Oh, please. Everything else about what he's doing is saying that he wants to find Glendower. The forest knew why they were there. It was constantly trying to lead them through itself. What the heck?
All I can think of, once again, I am trying to find some rationale behind Steve Otter's motives for everything. And all I can think of is that if you want something, you have to ask for it, and he never did. And he finally just asked for it. Other than that, that was a big... I was like, you mean to tell me...
I know.
That he just follows the damn ravens because Noah led him to the damn ravens, and then he just goes to the freaking museum and he's there?
I know.
I was like, oh,
that was
and then he's dead?
Yeah.
I was not happy.
I was so pissed.
About that.
I was so pissed. It was a waste of development. Also, if they were alive, why wasn't Glendower? So is Cabeswater's power fallible? I don't like plot holes.
What do you mean, if they are alive?
Gansey, because of Cabeswater. Ronan almost died because Cabeswater almost died. So if Glendower was brought over there and put into Cabeswater or put on the ley line, how is he not alive? What happened there?
I don't know.
It just didn't work for him?
I don't remember.
Oh my God.
He wasn't alive.
I don't like it. It was at that point when I was like, yeah, Steve Otter was literally like, I'm good. Let's wrap this up.
Well, Aurora was dying, which made Ronan die. Because if the creator dies, then their offspring dies too. Or their, you know what I mean?
And that makes sense because Ronan
he must
wanted
have been
to make sure
double
that he
dying
saved Matthew.
No, because wait, okay. So if that's logic, then if Ronan dies, then Cabeswater dies. But it made it seem like Cabeswater was dying, so Ronan was dying. What?
Right. It just doesn't make any sense.
She
like flipped it. I don't see how if a dream dies, the dreamer also dies. That doesn't make sense to me.
No, if the dreamer dies, but that's
right.
But
that's what was happening
because Cabeswater is the dream.
Right. So how does that also unmake Ronan?
I guess because Aurora died, so everything after that died.
But even okay, yeah, because Ronan is her offspring. Either way, see, it's just so convoluted. It doesn't make sense. If you have figured this out, let us know. Please tweet us at SmallPrintPod. But it just did not make sense to me, and I think the second he just had to ask for Glendower, I was like, no, no, I did not just hustle through this book for that. This took me forever, and I would see it sitting on my coffee table and just be like, no, not today. I can't. Which is very disappointing. That is not the reaction
because
I wanted
I
to
gave
have.
you this book 3 weeks
ago.
I started reading it
at the beginning of April. You gave me this book.
I started reading that book last week, and I finished. And she's still not done.
Oh,
you went through spoilers to find what happens in the end.
Yep. I was like, I'm done. I'm good.
Oh.
So I think that's it. That's all that I really have that I wanted to say. I did feel horrible when like Aurora was being unmade. That was very sad.
Yeah.
Neve totally deserved to die.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was a huge betrayal.
Why? Okay, so why what's his name? Lamonier? Oh, wasn't even close. He shoots the gray man. Why did he shoot the gray man?
Exactly.
And then the gray man just doesn't die. He just ends up at the auction. And then he shoots his daughter.
I know.
And then everyone's like, peace?
Yeah.
Including Sinduin? Henry's mom? What? I don't understand what any
Sinuous.
of that meant. I just remember an S
Yeah,
and a D.
Sunduk.
I don't know.
Yeah, that was hard to
I
pronounce.
don't understand any of
It
that.
didn't, right, that's the magical collectors didn't make any sense to me. I don't think any of those characters needed to be in the book. We could have just had the Piper with the demon and Neve, and those would have been the demons. I don't understand what it had to do with her dad, other than maybe she was trying to prove that she was this big bad bitch.
Yeah.
And that was it. I didn't get anything else from that. That did not need to be.
That's all I
scene.
got from that. She was just trying to.
Same with Henry's mom. He didn't even need to bring her into the story. I mean, she warned Declan that people were coming, but again, none of it needed to even be there.
Yeah, I agree.
So I was just like, nope, I'm good.
And do you know what the 621 meant?
I don't. I thought that was cool. I liked the I forgot to say that in the beginning. I liked the circular time thing because I'm into that kind of like quantum physics type stuff. But it was never fully explained, so I can't say that I figured it out. And
last thing,
yes,
did you happen to find the part where Noah dies? Because I don't know what happened to him.
No, and that was another issue of mine. Noah is this huge driving force, especially in the first book, because we find out that he was murdered in Caveswater, and that his death meant that Gansey lived. So I thought that was great, but as a result, Noah should have been more of a central part in this novel, and they largely ignore him unless he's attacking one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I hated his character ending. And I get the sense that he was holding on to the rest of his spirit to further help Gansey come back. Because that wasn't done.
Just waiting for him to ask.
That's what I'm saying. Right. He was there so that Gansey could live again. Because Noah had to die again.
Mm-hmm.
And he does at the end of the book. That's what I got from it.
But is there a moment where he actually dies? No. I think that would have been a wonderful moment, because I really did like Noah. I like Noah better than Adam.
That was the major complaint that, like, when I was reading blogs and reading reviews and stuff, people are like, Noah did not get his proper goodbye. We do get a little glimpse into who he was when he was alive, but that happened way in the beginning of the book.
Yeah.
Or kind of the middle when they're at the school event. Yeah, he didn't really get his due justice, which is strange.
Yeah.
Because he's this mysterious character all throughout the novel. Like, okay, we figured out that he's alive. Well, alive, air quotes again, because he was killed on the ley line, but it had to serve some other purpose. Otherwise, why would he be hanging around? So that's my guess. He sacrificed the rest of himself for Gansey. Again.
Poor Noah.
I know. He got screwed.
Mm-hmm. Well, it had a nice happy ending.
Yeah, it did.
I do enjoy a happy ending. We all know this. So
the ending made sense.
Yeah,
it did. I just had a problem with the journey in this last book.
I wasn't that upset about it simply because of the first 3 books. Like I said, the first 3 books it helped that score compared to all the stuff I've read. About 56 books this year, and compared to the 56 books I've read this year, this is probably in the top 5, simply because of the storytelling and the characterization. And so I kind of have to compare to the other stuff I've been reading, and based on that,
sure,
yeah, I read this any day over some of this other stuff that I've had to read.
Yeah, that makes sense. Again, Maggie Stiefvater is a joy to read. She's such a great author. She develops characters really well. It's just I wanted more because I have such confidence in her ability to tell a story. I think
Dream Thieves was just like the pinnacle, and everything after that it was just like, if it doesn't come close to that, it's just not. Blue Lily, I didn't remember anything that happened in that book.
I only remembered the ending in the caves.
Yep.
And that was the only really major thing we got from that book. We find Gwynlyan and the demon, and they're one step closer. But
that's all I remember from that book.
That was it. That was mostly filler. They continue to be conflicted about their relationship with each other, and it was, not great.
All right. Well, once again, do you have anything else?
No, I'm good.
Okay. So once again, we will be doing a reread of Heart Betrayal. We've already done Kiss of Deception, and you can find those on our SoundCloud. It's at Small Print Podcast. Starting June 15th, we're going to be discussing chapters 1 through 11 of Heart of Betrayal to get ready for Beauty of Darkness. and we're really excited about that. And I pray to Jesus that this last book is great because, like, I think Winter's Kiss I thought it was okay. I know you were kind of like, man.
I know this has not been a good year for me in terms of
It's a lot
sequels.
of enders this year.
Endings, yeah.
So I'm hoping that this is a very good ending. Please, Mary, please make it good. But other than that, we'll catch you on the flip side.
Okay, bye.